If you want to ride faster, just copy the pros, right? Well, maybe not so quickly. In this video, we'll look at the cutting edge tech used by the Tour de France pros and what you should copy and definitely not copy and avoid and leave to the pros. From deep section wheels to wide tyres to massive gearing and slam stems, we'll go through the do's and don'ts of copying the pros if you want to ride faster. Now, us amateur cyclists are guilty of copying the pros. Heck, I even did it 20 years ago when I copied Tom Bonan in wearing white oversocks over my shoes. I thought it looked cool at the time, but looking back, maybe not. Did it help me go faster? Heck no. So I'm as guilty as the next person of copying the pros. But joking aside, there is some merit to copying the pros. They, after all, have access to way more technology, wind tunnel time, the latest science, nutritional understanding than us amateurs. And they are in the business of going very fast indeed, and of course winning races where margins can be very, very small indeed. So if it works for pros, it's likely it'll work for us amateurs. So let's dive in with my first product you should definitely copy if you want to go as fast as the pros. First up, some nice deep section aerodynamic carbon fiber wheels. Fast and lightweight, and they look cool as heck too. And most of the pros are using deep section wheels between 40 and 50 millimeters deep, like these MV SES 4.5 wheels. Other wheels are available, but these are the ones used by Tadej Pogačar. And on that stage where he went over the Galibier with an advantage over his chasers, he had the wheels on the bike. And we often see riders switch to a shallower and lighter wheel for a mountain stage, which some riders did do to save 100 or 200 grams on climbing weight. But as Tadej showed, the Aero performance and benefits of a deep section wheel on a descent and the flat finish into the finish line outweigh the small weight saving when you're going up the mountain climb. So deep section wheels for the win. If you want to copy the pros, get some deep section wheels, and they are the best way to improve performance on any road bike. The best aero gain by far. The other thing to definitely copy, which the pros actually copy from us amateur cyclists, are wider tyres. Pros were very stubborn in their refusal to adopt wide tyres, sticking to 23 and 25 for a long time, until very recently. But here in the real world, us normal cyclists were embracing wide tyres, 28, 30, 32 and wider. But now most of the pro peloton are in fact riding wide tyres. 28 is a new standard, and we are seeing 30 and 32 on stages with gravel and pavé. So for many of us who embraced wide tyres a long time ago, the fact that pros have now embraced wide tyres as well just validates the fact we all know wide tyres are faster. But how are wide tyres faster? Well, there are loads of studies and videos out there that explain the reason wide tyres are faster, and it's because they offer lower rolling resistance than a narrow tyre. The contact patch on a wide tyre is shorter and wider, and so the tyre deforms less. Wide tyres can also be run at a low pressure, helping to soak up the bumps so you don't lose forward energy by moving the bike and the rider up and over the bumps. Wide tyres also give massive comfort benefits as well. A wide tyre like this at low pressures, so 50, 55 psi, gives way more comfort and soaks up the bumps and cracks and potholes on the rough roads that most of us have to ride on a daily basis. The other massive tech change in the pro peloton, and one I've been beating a drum on for the last 10 years or so, is tubeless. So replacing the inner tube, or for the pros, replacing the old tub tyres which were glued to the rims with sealant and tubeless valves. And that's a shift in the pro peloton I honestly thought I'd never see. I thought they'd be running tubs for years and years, but no, they're now running this stuff in their tyres. And thankfully these days, compatibility issues are mostly a thing of the past, with the latest tyre and rim technology ensuring good fit between different tyres and rims, and they go up with a normal track pump and no stubborn issues like in the past, and less messy than it's ever been before. But that said, some teams often use lightweight TPU or latex inner tubes with tubeless compatible tyres rather than sealant because sometimes sealant can be messy. It requires more maintenance. You have to refill and top up sealant after weeks and months of riding, and if you want to change tyres, it's a messy job as well. So some teams do use lightweight inner tubes as an alternative, but we can firmly say that tubs, tubular tyres are a thing of the past, and tubeless compatible tyres are the future, with or without sealant or TPU inner tube. So really no excuse to not embrace the latest technology sweeping the pro peloton. The other big tech trend these days are narrow handlebars. Handlebars are getting extremely narrow, and we've seen the UCI clamp down on how narrow you can go with bent over hoods as well. But the reason narrow handlebars have become so popular in a very short amount of time is because it's an easy gain in terms of aerodynamics. We all know that a rider, the lump on the bike, is about 80% of the drag you face when riding at speeds above about 15 miles per hour. And if you make your body smaller, that profile, that frontal surface area smaller and more compact, and punch a smaller hole in the air. So less drag and you ride faster, or ride at the same speed for less effort. So narrow handlebars are an easy gain, an easy win for more aero performance and to go faster. And bike manufacturers respond with narrow handlebars. New Trek Madone, for example, has a very narrow handlebar, and the other trend is narrow on the tops where the hoods are, and a flare drop so you have more control when descending. But in the hood, that aero position, you're very narrow and very compact indeed. So upgrading the handlebar on your bike is an easy win if you want to go faster and copy the pros, and definitely one that's worth emulating. The only slight wrinkle here is if you have a bike with a one-piece handlebar and stem, replacing that with another one-piece handlebar and stem is a bit trickier, but not impossible for any decent mechanic. Saddles have gone through loads of change and evolution in the time I've been riding bikes. Changing shapes and different trends have come and gone. But a trend right now is for a short nose saddle like this from Specialized, the Power, and most other companies make one. And the reason that these are very popular is the super aggressive aero head down position that many pros like to embrace. They often run a size smaller on the frame, just get smaller and lower at the front. And they like to push a saddle as far forward as possible to really push themselves into aggressive aero position. But the UCI has some strict rules around saddle position and the fore and aft, and how much of the nose of a saddle can be in front of the bottom bracket. So to get around the rules, they simply chop the nose of the saddle about 2 or 3 inches perhaps, allowing the saddle to be pushed forward and the rider to really push himself forward on the bike and get into that super low tucked aero position. And away from the pro peloton, away from racing, they're pretty darn comfortable as well. I'm a big fan of the Specialized mirror in particular. The pros have known the importance of aerodynamics since 1989, and in the pro peloton these days, aero definitely trumps weight. So much so in fact that the UCI weight limit of 6.8 kilos is rarely a weight that most pro bikes are anywhere near. Some publications have weighed bikes during the race and they're often well over 7 kilos, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4 sometimes. And it shows that most pros aren't weight weenies at all because they know the importance of aerodynamics. And while weight is still a more tangible thing in terms of picking it up on the scales and riding it, aero is what really matters when you're racing for a living. So everything from aero helmets to aero frames, aero tyres now as well, Skinsuits, aero socks, you name it, there's an aero version of that product out there, and the pros definitely embrace aerodynamics. Now clearly the pros ride much faster than most of us mere mortals, way faster. And the benefits of aero at those high speeds are clearly much bigger as well. But that said, any rider going above about 15 miles per hour or thereabouts will benefit from aero. Less maybe than the pros doing 30 miles per hour, but you still benefit from aero. Even if it's harder to measure compared to weight, you are still benefiting from aero at the lower speed. And because you're on the course longer than a sporty perhaps, you stand to benefit even more. So aero wheels, aero frames, the aero position for a narrow handlebar, the clothing you wear, so tight fitting clothing and not baggy jerseys, aero socks if you want, all these things which the pros embrace can be emulated to ride faster in your local road race or sportive, or just riding around as fast as you can. So lots of things to copy from the pros if you want to go faster, but there are a few I would caution against. And number one is slamming your stem. And yes, I know it looks pro with no spaces between the stem and the frame, and I'm guilty of it as well, and I still do it from time to time. But if you can't handle that low front end such a position gives you, very aggressive with the handlebar super low, you'll pay the price with bad back, sore shoulders, and just have a horrible time on the bike. And the pros, when they slam the stems, can maintain that position because they ride 30,000 kilometers a year, if not more. But if you only ride your bike once or twice a week and you're slamming your stem, you are going to have a bad experience, an uncomfortable experience on the bike after a few hours. But in the last few years, I've definitely noticed a trend away from slam stems in the pro peloton, where more riders increasingly having a few spaces between the stem and the frame. So don't copy the pros and slam your stem, be sensible and fit a few spaces. We are seeing more pros use massive gearing than ever before. 53, 39 was once a standard, but now 54, 55, 56 chainrings are becoming very popular indeed, which is just insane, but makes sense given how fast the racing is these days, with records being broken left, right and centre. But I'd urge you not to copy the trend, because for the one reason, you're not in a pro peloton, which is travelling at insane speeds, especially if you ride on your own. You need immense power and fitness to turn such big gears and actually make use of a full cassette in that massive chainring. And I'm a big fan of smaller gearing. SRAM's 12-speed gearing with smaller chainrings and wider range cassettes actually suit the riding, the power output, the speeds us mere mortals, us regular riders ride at, and gives us gearing that actually helps us on the climbs where most of us, myself included, definitely struggle more than the pros. So don't go for big gearing, leave that to pros and actually go for smaller, easier gears that suit the riding most of us do. I mentioned earlier how Aero definitely trumps weight in the pro peloton, and one area where we've seen this is the use and widespread adoption of skin suits. Now, skin suits, one-piece shorts and jersey outfits were once preserved for time trials, and you had jersey and separate shorts for all the other stages of the Tour de France. But these days, in that pursuit of marginal gains and a bit more aero, most of the star riders are using skin suits all round and sacrificing comfort and versatility and practicality with 3 pockets for a skin suit that's faster. Although most modern skin suits have a few pockets, but star riders like Tadej Pogačar are being serviced by a team with food and water when they need it, so don't have to carry a lot of stuff in their pockets like us amateurs do. So skin suits is definitely something I would leave to pros. Unless you're actually racing, maybe worth going for a skin suit, but for regular riding, stick with a normal jersey and shorts, far more comfortable and more versatile as well, with pockets and easy ventilation when you need toilet stops during a ride as well. The other big tech trend in the pro peloton, which I don't think we should copy, are Aero socks. Most top riders now use Aero socks. They're long and made from special fabrics to really channel air around the area of the leg. And they might save you a few watts if you are racing, which makes loads of sense. But I did a sportive last 2 weeks ago, and I can't believe how many people had Aero socks for a sportive at real world speeds. Yes, it might save you a few watts, but it sacrifices style and looks in my opinion. So unless you're racing, just riding for fun and enjoyment, I'd leave the Aero socks to pros and stick with regular socks in my opinion. So those are, in my opinion, the tech trends to copy and avoid from the pro peloton. Let me know if you agree or disagree and what you like copying by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to see a roundup of the best Tour de France bikes available right now, then watch the video right here. And of course, don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button right here. But that is all for today. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.